These are commonly found structures on the ocean floor. There appears to be some inanimate objects lying at the bed of the ocean. But what if I tell you that these are live animals? Sounds unbelievable, I agree. But these are actual animals. All of these belong to the first phylum of non-chordates, which is the phylum Porifera. Let's begin our discussion about the non-chordates with this group. Porifera, also commonly called sponges, are the lowest or the simplest multicellular animals. So what do we mean by this? It means they do not possess any specialized body structure. In fact, they do not have any proper structure at all. The organism's body is just made up of cells coming together. Any idea what such a level of body organization is called? It's known as the cellular level of organization. That's because the body of these organisms does not have tissues or organs. They are made up of only cells. So, how do the cells form the organism's body? As we can see here, the complete body has several cells coming together and forming a single structure. At places, there are several pores which allow the entry of water and dissolved molecules inside the sponge. That means they do not require a proper mouth or nose for entry of substances, and neither an anus is required to expel the wastes. Everything that's needed enters the body through these minute pores along with water and leaves the body through this huge single opening. So how does the feeding mechanism work? Sponges contain several such pores called the ostia on their surfaces and this single large pore called the osculum right here. The ostia creates a structure somewhat like an internal canal, and all the canals finally open in the larger osculum. How does the feeding mechanism work? If we zoom in these tiny pores, then we can locate these numerous collar cells. These are also called choanocytes. These cells have flagellum which help to catch hold of the planktonic food that enters the ostia along with water. That's how food is taken in and the waste materials are obviously sent out via the large osculum. This in and out mechanism can be well understood with the help of a simple experiment. If a non-toxic dye is injected or sprayed near the base of these sponges, then sometime later the dye is seen ejected out of this osculum. This simple experiment tells us the pathway of water and the dissolved substances in and out of the sponge body. Now let me ask you one interesting question. If these sponges do not have organs or any specialized structures, how do you think they reproduce? Any guesses? Maybe they reproduce only with asexual reproduction, right? If this is your answer, then you're only partially correct. That's because sponges also opt for sexual reproduction. Yes, you heard me right. The male sponge releases sperms in the water. These flow with the water current and reach the female sponge. Here, internal fertilization occurs and that releases the newly formed larvae into the water. These larvae float around like planktons for only a few days and finally settle down at one place from where they start growing as individual sponge. This happens normally in case of sexual reproduction. Now what happens in case of asexual reproduction? Sponges prefer many ways of asexual reproduction. Right from budding to fragmentation, different sponges can opt for different methods. The most remarkable method is by production of specialized cells called the gemmules. Some species of sponges produce special types of cells called the gemmules. These are capable of surviving harsh conditions like changes in temperature or alkalinity and others as well. So when the conditions are unfavorable, these gemmules are released which remain dormant, and as the surrounding conditions get back to normal, they hatch into new sponges. This is how sponges can reproduce both sexually and asexually and help maintain their population in adverse conditions as well. Sources say that sponges have been surviving since almost 500 million years ago. Although they do not look fascinating, these simple multicellular organisms have quite a developed process to help them dominate the ocean floors.